Hello, fellow Zimbabweans. It's me again, David DMutori. Last week I shared a video with you with my thoughts on the bond notes just before they were launched. It's just over 7 days now since the first batch of bond notes were unleashed onto the market. Today I would like to talk about two things. The first one is how have the bond notes fared in terms of demand? The second one is, what's the actual exchange rate of a bond note to the United States dollar? Going back to my first point, you may remember that reports coming from the ground suggest that the bond notes are gone. That would suggest that we love bond notes. We are going and hoovering them up, including slashing them somewhere away under the mattress. The truth is so far from that view. And here is why. In order to understand why, I'll take you guys back to about a week or two before the bond notes were launched. Those with good memory may remember that during that week, even United States dollars disappeared. And then miraculously, on the day that the bond notes were launched, banks started dispatching US dollars as well. They are playing a game. It is a game where they create a level of scarcity where the citizen gets squeezed so hard that you are reduced to a level where you will accept anything that's thrown in front of you. So basically what we are being told as the demand for bond notes, is our response to cash scarcity, to actually having nothing at all. So most of us have had to accept bond notes because that was the only option that was available. And guess what? The Minister of Finances actually came up and explained to the country that they have run out of bond notes. That is not true. They've got loads and loads of bond notes. In fact, they've got more bond notes than we can ever put in our pockets. We'll have enough bond notes among us ourselves that will fill buckets and sacks again. So they are using citizens in some sort of game. If you don't give people money, they become desperate for money. So you can give them anything you want and call it money, and they will rush for it. It's unfortunate. Anyway, going back to my second point. What exactly is the bond note's value compared to the United States dollar? On this issue, I think it depends on whom you ask. My guess, anything between 0 to 1:1, 0:1 to 1:1, let me put it that way. Why did I say 0:1? It is because there's still a few places that are refusing to accept the bond note. But there are some places that are forced by government to accept bond note as equal to one United States dollar. What we are looking at the moment here is a situation where there's a big conflict between what the government wants the US dollar, the bond note to be valued at, and what the market wants the bond note to be valued at. In the last few days, we've had instances where people were selling $50 US for 100 bond notes. This situation is inevitable because whoever receives bond notes as part of their day-to-day trade, especially if they are in the export business and import and export business, will need to convert those bond notes into United States dollar cash before they can leave the country to go and do their purchases. So that means I will still insist that it is unsustainable. It's very unlikely that the bond note will be equal to the United States dollar. In fact, the market is already telling us that the bond note is way less than one United States dollar. The next few weeks will be very telling. The government is going to continue giving us little bits of bond notes to try to keep us hungry for more, hungry for liquidity, hungry for cash. Unfortunately, I don't believe they will end there. I think they'll keep printing more and more and more and more until we've got way too many bond notes and we are bang back in 2008 again. So what do we do now? If you have got no option but to accept bond note, by all means accept it. But when you have it, try to spend it as quickly as you can. I would suggest that, or convert it. So far, I would suggest, like I suggested last week, that go and spend it in government offices, go spend it with businesses that are owned by government officials. They love bond notes, so give them back their money. Thank you. Bye.